let's bring out the big guns.
Square Enix.
So let's start off by saying last year, now I don't necessarily remember everybody else's press conferences, but I remember being incredibly disappointed in the Square Enix presentation. So in terms of most improved press conference, I would give Square Enix that award because I think this one from start to finish was really just well presented, first of all. The sort of aesthetic and the way they moved between things I thought was really good, kept you hooked and was entertaining. And then the announcements they made, the quality of the announcements they made, I thought was excellent. So definitely an improvement over last year and just a good time all around. What do you want to talk about first?
Well, I only have three things.
Okay.
Because I'm not as into Dragon Quest and stuff as you are. Or is that in
Dragon Quest
right?
one. No, that's
not Dragon Quest. What was that other game? There was another game. Anyways, the Final Fantasy VII remake, obviously, that needs to be the first thing because that's the first thing they showed.
The first thing they showed. Yeah.
And we were texting, and I was like, how in the hell are they going to one-up Final Fantasy VII? This whole conference, I was sitting here like, dude, they just started with this. How are they going to one-up this? Because it looks incredible. They gave us a lot of gameplay, like a full boss battle.
Right. They talked about the gameplay, too, not even just showed you. They explained what was happening.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. They showed it, explained it. They talked about tactical mode. They talked about the ATB charges. They talked about real-time switching characters. They talked about how the game's going to be presented. The only downside that I saw in that whole thing was how much this Uber collection cost, whatever it was called.
The first class edition.
First class editions cost like $330.
$330 US.
Too much.
I'll tell you what, I actually figured out like where that money where that price comes from. It's literally the deluxe edition, the $80 deluxe edition, with a $250 Cloud on a motorcycle figure tacked onto it. You know, to my knowledge, you cannot buy and probably won't be able to buy that figure separately, but they've literally just valued that at $250 and included it with the deluxe edition. There's no extra stuff you get with it besides that. So
right.
I know it's people that bought it. You know who you are. You're nuts.
So other than that, I mean, that was super cool. I'm really impressed with how it looks. I know that you had some qualms about how they're releasing it, but I don't want to talk too much about Final Fantasy VII because I could talk about that for forever, you know? The other cool thing that I saw in that press conference, the Final Fantasy VIII remaster.
Maybe the biggest surprise.
Yeah, which I didn't expect either. Which is cool for me because I never got to play 8, and I only got to watch you play 7. So being able to maybe have access to either of them is going to be really cool for me. And then I don't remember much in between because other than Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC, but I think we should make a whole other video about that because for those of you who have watched our previous videos, we dove really deep into the lore and stuff like that. And there's a lot of information within just that trailer that I think we want to sit down and talk about. And then I kind of blocked everything out because then, like, at the very beginning, there was Final Fantasy VII, and at the very end, there was Marvel. And I've expressed how excited I am for that game, and now I'm super excited. So I kind of... I'm kind of drawing a blank in the middle. So if you want to talk about whatever you are most excited for, your thoughts, etc., feel free, and I can chime in on those games that I may have forgotten about.
Okay, so I can rattle off like some of the cool stuff. So they mentioned that they're doing. I thought this was a collection at first, but it's not. So they're finally releasing US versions of 2 Saga games. Saga is like a spin-off of the Final Fantasy series.
Didn't they release a Trials of Mana thing too?
Yeah, well, that was the Nintendo. Which that was something that I had mentioned to you that had been rumored and that Square didn't announce, and I was like, that's kind of weird. But then Nintendo announced it. So Saga is created by a series by the guy who did Final Fantasy II, and started off as, in the US anyway, that we got the first 3 Saga games as the Final Fantasy Legends series on Game Boy. But there's a lot more of those. So Romancing Saga 3 is coming to the US finally, and Saga Scarlet Grace is also coming. They're like 2 different generations of games. So like the Romance Saga 3 was originally a Super Nintendo game. So it's getting like an upgraded port, and then Saga Scarlet Grace is the newest game in the series. So then you're also getting like the newest thing. So that's pretty cool. They had a little bit of an update on Oninaki, which is the next game from Tokyo RPG Factory, the people that made I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere. That studio, people have very mixed feelings about. I haven't really played either of those games. This one, to me, looks kind of like more of the same.
Isn't that the one about like the spirits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember saying that game looked cool.
Yeah, it looks neat.
The previous, that was in a direct. They announced that a while ago, right?
Yeah, I think Nintendo originally announced that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I remember seeing it. But
right,
I thought that game looked cool. I don't know what I must have missed that. I don't know if I was paying attention. Oh, I think it was probably when my stream froze.
Might have been because you had said I think that was right around when they also did the Crystal Chronicles remastered stuff, and you said you had missed that. Which that was the thing that I've made probably multiple comments on here before and other places, saying that I bet they're not gonna say anything about it, and they didn't. They showed a very short trailer and said coming in 2019, and it also said it's coming to mobile phones, which whatever, doesn't matter to me. So they moved it it was announced almost a year ago at this point. Last September they announced it, said it was coming in winter. Then it was 2019. Now it's winter 2019 again. So I just want to play the thing. We wanted to play it internet co-op. Let me do it. They also shadow dropped The Last Remnant Remastered on Switch, which came out for PS4 last year. As a remaster of a 360 game originally. I never played it. I know people.
I've heard of it.
I know people that really like it. I also know some people that say it's not really good unless you're super into JRPGs. So just keep that in mind, I guess. And yeah, like you said, Final Fantasy VIII being remastered, huge surprise to me because they've sort of told us over and over again that they're never going to do that one. And everybody speculated that they had just lost the source code to it and couldn't actually remaster it. So if you actually look up, so just looking at the trailer, it's kind of hard to envision what exactly they are remastering. So I would advise you to look up some comparison screenshots because it is a very significant upgrade. They're using, it looks more like a PS2 game at this point. They use like Squall's model almost looks like Squall from like Dissidia or from like, Kingdom Hearts. Selphie looks like Selphie from Kingdom Hearts, basically. Is like the quality of upgrade that they've done. So just watching the trailer, I know a couple people were like, what do they do? It doesn't look, it kind of looks like you remember it looked, but it looks like garbage if you go look at the actual game nowadays, I think 8 kind of really suffered the most. I think that 7 still holds up in a way because of its very strange blocky art style. And I think that 9 still looks good today because they had figured out by then how to do it. But 8 is in this weird space where they're trying to do like proportional human models, and it just looks really bad today, I think. So I'm really happy that they're doing a remastered version so that people can pick it up and not think that it looks like junk. And then let's talk a little bit about Final Fantasy VII. We can dive in with my impressions as well. I similarly was just like giddy the whole time that they started with that. I thought that was so cool. And really, really excited for it. Just so happy that they didn't just go make it a straight up action game. As much as I would love to play, Cloud Kingdom Hearts, basically, I like that they have invented this new system that allows you to give it a little bit more of that turn-based flair.
Do you remember what I said about it?
Well, no, I'm not sure.
I said this is what Final Fantasy 13 should have been.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, and I had made this.
Go ahead.
I had made a similar comment that was that it was like if the way that you can like pause the world basically to make decisions is how Final Fantasy XII's system works. But the major difference is that you don't like control every command your characters do. So you set up like these scripts basically that they run, where when they see an enemy, they just automatically start attacking it until you tell them to do something different. So it's like that if you just controlled your normal attacks too, is sort of what it looked like to me, which I think is cool because it means to me that they sort of figured out, a more kinetic way to do that kind of system, which I think is really cool. From some impressions that I've heard of people that have actually played it at E3, apparently there is an option if you want to just like turn that stuff off and just play it as Cloud Kingdom Hearts. You can actually do that, which I think is kind of interesting because of how in the show they said that your normal attacks don't do very much damage. So I'm kind of interested to see how the game balances, you being able to not necessarily use all your abilities, or if they give you other ways to use your abilities. That's pretty interesting to me. So we'll see what that pans out to be as they do more demos and stuff like that, and there was a lot of confusion around how exactly they're going to be releasing the game, like you mentioned. So we'll talk about this briefly. For starters, Spence, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to play the game when it first comes out because it's going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 4. So unless someone out there wants to buy Spence PS4 for Christmas this year, he's going to have to wait. I'm sure you'll just come visit me and we'll play. And
100%.
Let's be real. By then, you'll be able to probably pick up a base model PS4 for really cheap. But just do what other people do. Just go to GameStop, rent it for a week, beat the game, and then return it. Not that I condone that. Anyway, so it's going to be time exclusive on PS4 for some unknown amount of time. And it is also absolutely going to be at least 2 games. Now, the sort of confusion is that Yoshinori Kitase, during his opening speech about the game, said that it's going to cover 2 Blu-ray discs of content, and then said that this first game will focus on Midgar. So, as far as I know, no one's actually gotten like a clear read on this. If he meant that it's going to be 2 Blu-rays on just the first game you're going to get is 2 discs worth of stuff, or if he was trying to allude to the fact that there, or if that was just him saying it's going to be more than 1 game, he since has been asked, do you know how many games it's going to be? And he wouldn't commit to an answer, saying that they're working on game number 2 now as they're finishing up game number 1. And they're not 100% sure if it's going to be just 2 games, 3 games, 4 games even, So that could get really out of hand really fast. You can imagine the world where it's 4 games and you don't play game 4 until 10 years from now, which would be insane. But you got to also hope that the development of those games gets faster as they go along because of the fact that they're working with the same engine, that they're working with tools they know, with assets they've already created. You don't have to rebuild the cloud every time. Because kind of the same thing happened with like the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, where infamously Final Fantasy 13 had a really rocky development cycle. They had to restart it a bunch of times. It was supposed to be a PS2 game originally. And they finally released it, and then after that were able to turn around 2 sequels in a comparatively short amount of time because they knew what they were doing at that point. They knew what they were working with, they knew what their tools were, they knew what the character models were, what the art of that world was like. So you would hope that you get something similar here, and after this first game is built the whole way, you don't have to wait the entire cycle again before the next couple come out,
Yeah, I agree.
So that's another thing. We're just going to have to wait and see what else they say about it. And of course, what the final game ends up feeling like. Because I can imagine a game where just Midgar could be fun, where they really build out that world and they really let you spend time with Avalanche. And if Midgar is like explorable, that could be really cool. Maybe they shift around some plot elements so you can explore some more character backstory a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, there was that sweet bike fight in the trailer too, or like in there.
Which in Final Fantasy VII originally, that sequence is you leaving Midgar. which I can't imagine they're showing you something from the end of the game. Also, I think um, in the trailer, I think that they showed Jessie on the bike with Cloud, which does not happen in Final Fantasy VII. She's not in that scene, so they've definitely at least added new sequences like that, not even addressing the fact that like that boss fight they showed off in the trailer, was like takes you a minute in the original game, but is like a much longer fight in this new one. So we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what it ends up being when it's done. It almost feels like they're taking this opportunity to be like, hey, what did we really want to do 20 years ago? What would we have done if given these tools? And as much as there's a part of me that's just like, Final Fantasy VII was one game, guys, make it one game. There's also the part of me that's just like, yeah, but what would you really want to do? Just like blue sky it, man. What do you want to make this thing?
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
So we'll see. There's also, just admitting to myself, the kind of gamer and fan that I am, there's no universe in which, even if they release 10 installments, there's no version of me that's not going to pick up at least the first one on launch day, and play that thing. So just being honest with myself. So that's where my hype level is for Final Fantasy VII, the remake, March 3rd, 2020. I have not actually pre-ordered it yet, but I will at some point soon.
Yeah, I gotta find out. Hopefully they announce like when there's gonna be another release, because I'm probably not gonna buy a PS4 just to buy that game. I mean, I'm very, very tempted, because that's like one of the most hyped games like there is. Like I've been excited for that since they announced it.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll probably see like
Revisit
if
it
we know
in
more.
6 months.
Yeah, if we know by February, January that it's coming out like whenever, like maybe a relatively soon time on a different console, like either Xbox, or I doubt it'll come to Switch, honestly, with how good those graphics look. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I'd
Switch
be
will be
really
able to
surprised.
handle that.
Well, they're putting
So
The
if it
Witcher
comes
3
over
on the
next month,
Switch somehow. We can talk about next.
that's gonna, I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I would actually be really
Hard.
surprised if
Oh my
they
God.
lost you again. I'd actually be really
Yeah, I
surprised
know. They keep calling me.
if they announced when it's coming to other platforms. Usually when you have these sort of time exclusivity deals, they don't want to announce that because they want everybody to pick it up on the original console first. So they want people to buy PS4s just to play Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So hey, I bought a PS4 to play Final Fantasy 15, even though that's actually on Xbox One as well. So
yeah.
So that's Square Enix, who is one of my favorite developers, publishers, and I am happy that they seem to be getting themselves back.
Oh, you think we're done talking about this?
They had a rough couple of years.
I
forgot about Avengers, didn't I?
Dude. The
Sorry.
second most hyped part of that whole conference for me, and you're just trying to no.
Well, you were typing, and I had to fill in the space.
Yeah, sorry. These guys keep calling my phone, and it keeps cutting me off of here. So I told
talk about
my
Avengers.
Discord.
I don't have as much to say about Avengers as you do. So,
dude, it looks incredible. I'm interested to see like what really the only downside that I saw was how the voice actors didn't, like, they seemed excited, but at the same time they didn't really seem like they knew what they were talking about. Like,
right,
they didn't seem like as comic book nerdy. They didn't seem to, like, some of them didn't seem to fit the part as much as some of, like, either the MCUs or even like in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, like how the voice fits. Like, I don't know if you know this, but the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite game, like Tony Stark sounds exactly like Robert Downey Jr. and it's not.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm really excited for it. It's an original story. It has, I think, 5 characters right from the get go. It's Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Black Widow. There were a lot of memes about people saying they weren't going to buy it if Hawkeye wasn't in it, and they kept yelling at the developers on stage like, "Where's Hawkeye?"
Bucky DLC when?
Yeah, Bucky and Hawkeye. I'm sure there will be it because the way that the MCU has evolved, the whole Marvel span. There's so many characters now that people know about and want compared to 10 years ago when you were playing, or I don't even know, it was probably like what 15 years ago when Marvel Ultimate Alliance came out. No one really gave a damn about Hawkeye back then. So it's like
Right.
you're gonna get Hawkeye, you're probably gonna get like Doctor Strange and like Spider-Man, stuff like that, just to incorporate all that.
Right.
And what I had said to you is that with all the free DLC that they're doing, they could branch off after they do this original story. They could branch off into any comic storyline they want to and do a DLC based off of that storyline, which is super cool.
Right. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. It looks really cool. The story seems really cool. I don't know what else to say about it, but the gameplay looks like a lot of fun. And I'm just really interested to see where it goes. They showed a little bit.
There's like, that's like my one major gripe. There's like 2 shots that look like it's an over-the-shoulder third-person action camera of like the Hulk jumping and smashing some stuff on the Golden Gate Bridge, and then one other character doing something similar. But other than those 2 moments, like there wasn't really too much that really screamed gameplay to me. It was mostly just
right.
Cinematic stuff. So right. Like I'm interested in like the fact that it exists, and Crystal Dynamics is obviously a very talented developer, and that they're trying something different. Personally, I need to see more to be convinced to get the thing. Not that they need to compete, but if I'm going to be like, I'm only going to buy one Marvel game in the next year, like I'm just going to pick up Ultimate Alliance because I know what that looks like and it looks cartoony and fun. This one looks like they were trying to go a little bit for the MCU, but couldn't quite like get MCU exactly because obviously the MCU has its own thing. So,
all
right. Also, I just when they first introduced Iron Man, I was like, okay, yeah, like the voices are pretty decent. And then like as the trailer went on, I was just like, that's just Nolan North, isn't it? And then it was Nolan North. And then when they had the scene that they showed of him talking to Bruce Banner, and then I'm sure he did the mocap for it too. I was just like, this just looks like Nathan Drake talking to Bruce Banner in this scene to me, so it was a little jarring, but I'm interested, obviously not as hyped as you are, but definitely I will be following it to see what they do with it.
Wait, Nolan North was the voice of Nathan Drake?
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious because he's playing something in Marvel and now an MCU actor is playing Nathan Drake in the movie.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Everything is circle.
It's flipped upside down.
A lot of things, like I can't really say anything bad about the guy, because he's done just so much. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this clip of the Brotherly Love Gaming podcast. You can find more clips here on YouTube or check out the full audio podcast on Apple Podcasts. The audio version has some exclusive talk in it, so it's definitely worth your time. While I have you here, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming videos from Brotherly Love Gaming.